Hey guys, I'm Jeffrey. Do you like watching TV? I want to tell you about one story about a TV drama that helped me save my friend's life. I've always been a normal guy, the one that studies really well, but not a total nerd. I have friends and a girlfriend that I really like a lot. Her name is Caroline. She's a really successful figure skater and I'm so proud of her. I've never missed any of her performances and even attend all her trainings. The only thing I hate about the whole thing, dating partner John. Caroline spends so much time with him because of all these trainings and so on, and this makes me jealous. At some point, I began to notice that Caroline had become irritable. I tried to ignore her mood at first, since I thought her busy schedule with all the trainings and studying and everything were the reason she was so grumpy. Then I decided to cheer her up. I invited her to our favorite cafe, which had always been sort of our place, and bought her a present. But when she came, she suddenly began accusing me of my annoying interest in her life. That's how she said it. She said that I spend too much time with her and that she was tired of my constant presence and I was too jealous of her trainings with John. She ended up saying that if I had a hobby of my own, everything could have been different. But since I'm not interested in anything aside from her life, that we have to break up. And then she just left. At first, it was very hard for me to get used to the idea that Caroline and I were no longer together. Every day after school, I would just sit in my room and think. I didn't feel like communicating with anyone. I remember how once I came home and found my sister watching one of those dramas on TV. I sat down next to her on the couch and tried to understand what was happening in this episode of Grey's Anatomy. And guess what? It turned out to be a pretty good show and not as silly as I thought it was. I actually became obsessed with it and started watching the series from the very first season. There were plenty of them, by the way. And every Thursday, I would look forward to a new episode and watch it together with my sister. I began seeing my friends like I used to before, and suddenly I noticed that my best friend Jim was spending less and less time with us. He said that he just had some family issues, but then one day he called me and said that we had to talk about something and that he would drop by and see me that evening. When he actually showed up, I saw his face. He looked pale and seemed to not be feeling well at all. At some point, he said, "Me and Caroline, we've been seeing each other for a couple weeks now." I felt my stomach twist somewhere inside me. I was so angry that I just yelled at him, telling him that we were no longer best friends. At that moment, Jim fell on the floor and seemed to be unconscious. My sister ran into the room and started screaming something about needing to call 911. Thoughts were rushing through my head like crazy. I looked at my watch. It was 8:23 p.m. Suddenly, it dawned on me. As if someone were giving me orders, I put my unconscious friend on his back and tried to feel around for his pulse. I could tell that his heart wasn't beating. I pressed my palms to his chest and began to do an indirect heart massage. No one ever told me how to do it, but I'd seen it plenty of times on Grey's. It seemed like a few hours had passed before the paramedics arrived. I looked at my watch again. It only took them 3 minutes to get there. And even before anyone asked me what had happened exactly, I told everything to the EMTs. They did their job and Jim woke up even before they put him in the back of the ambulance. The next day, I went to visit him at the hospital. He looked slightly pale, but he was alive. He said he had a heart problem that got worse whenever he got nervous, and he was definitely freaking out about the situation with me and him and Caroline. But the doctor promised that he'd be alright after a few days here in the hospital. He also said that things would probably have been much worse if no one did CPR at the right time. "How did you know what to do?" he asked. I had to confess my addiction to that medical drama. He gave me a smile. When I was leaving his floor, I passed Caroline. We didn't say a word to each other, but I caught her sad and sorry look, and strangely, I haven't felt like being mad at her. Do you know what I suddenly understood? Life is a very difficult thing. It's too short for anyone to be angry with somebody or something. I almost lost my close friend, literally, and it would definitely be stupid to lose him because of a girl. Now Jim is getting better. We never tried to talk about he and Caroline again. As for me, I started running. I do it every morning in the park near the house, and it makes me feel so happy. I've even noticed a girl who also runs there, so maybe soon I'll work up enough courage to talk to her. Who would have ever thought that even a simple obsession with a TV series could help you save someone's life? I hope my story will help some of you to change. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.